Time is ticking, and the pressure is on for Elias Lindholm to come back with a decision.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I'm your host, Jess Belmosto, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, we are free 99 on YouTube as well. Today, we're going to talk more about the latest developments in the Elias Lindholm saga, because we don't know if he's going to be traded, don't know if he's signing an extension. That's kind of the problem. And how much longer are the Flames going to wait? And of course, we are going to wrap up the show with some NHL award talks, and congratulations to Mikael Backlund. Let's just dive right in. So TSN is reporting that the Flames are just fine waiting around because that worked so well the last time. It sounds like they'll wait until September if they have to, and then they'll wait again until some point in the season, and then the trade deadline. And if there's no decision, hey, maybe he just walks for free at the end of next season. There's no deadline here. It's just a constant moving of the goalpost. And this is a really, really bad place for the Flames to be in. And I get that you need to give players time to obviously think about these decisions, because a lot goes into it. It's not like Elias Lindholm is a single 28-year-old with no family. It is quite the opposite. I think is he 20? Yeah, he's going to be 28. But he has a family. His partner wanted to move out of Calgary last year. Does that change? Has that changed since they've gotten engaged, had a baby? What does this look like here? I feel like we know the answer. And, when you procrastinate and you think, like, it'll get better because you don't want to tell your friend that, like, you can't go to their party, or you just don't want to go, so you have to, like, think of an excuse and just rip the Band-Aid off, okay? This is putting the Flames in such an odd position because it's great that they're giving him time. I will say that 100%. Players need time. People need time to make life-altering decisions. And at the same time, Conroy's kind of looking like a doormat. I think that, this has been going on long enough for there to be a semblance of an idea. And I understand why people are getting impatient. I'm sure the front office is getting impatient, but there's just no firm deadline. And I feel like if you continue to move the goalpost, you're never going to get an answer until the end of next season. And Conroy, this is his first season as a general manager, and I'm sure that he doesn't want to come off too strong and set like a precedent that, he's all business and no fun for the players, and there's he's just a businessman. He's not there to, work with them. He's working against them. I don't think anyone would really see it like that. I think most logical people understand that this is a business. And while there is, the human element to this, decisions have to be made. It's not fair to expect Elias Lindholm to make this decision in 2 weeks. Do I think that it's been discussed in just this last 2 weeks? No, I think this has been an ongoing conversation for probably the last 2-3 months, or if he was one of the players to put in a trade request, this could be not a new conversation. It's just newish to us, but there's no one to blame here besides the Flames. And it truly feels like they're setting themselves up to fail. Conroy came in and was like, No, we're not going to have another repeat of last summer. We're going to sign him. We're not letting him walk for nothing. It's still the end of June. There's still time left. But what are we doing? What are we doing here? Are we moving him during the season? Are we moving him before the start of the season? So let's rewind. I get that they don't need to have an answer by Wednesday. I would say that Noah Hannafin is probably like the priority right now. I feel like because his answer is in, they're going to, focus on that, especially ahead of the draft. And then, okay, he gets moved. Tyler Toffoli. If Elias Lindholm doesn't have an answer in by the time Toffoli, is traded, unless that's like tonight or tomorrow, I think the Flames need to make a decision for him, kind of force his hand. Now, I'm not saying just go ahead and trade him with no discussion. I just think that there needs to be, the Flames have to be the authority figure here. Okay, it's that simple. And I work with a players association. You guys know I'm all for the players and their right to choose and their rights as a player. And this is a side of the business where it's hard for me to pick a side because I see both ends of it. So just because I say, oh, like the Flames have to, make him pick, doesn't mean I'm anti Elias Lindholm anything. Or just because I say, hey, Elias Lindholm is a human being, like, let's give him time to process and discuss these things with his family, does not mean I'm all for holding up the Flames. I think that there can be a gray area there. And I think a lot of people think it has to be one way or the other. Waters can get muddied there. It's okay. But coming up next, we are going to be talking about history not repeating itself, because decisions, again, they have to be made, and they have to be made soon. But before we do that, let's take a quick break to talk about eBay Motors. For a championship team, it is all about making sure each player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With the eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the little green check mark to know that your part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. With over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers, eligible items only, and exclusions apply. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me whenever you're listening to this. I hope you're having a good day, a good evening. I hope you're drinking enough water. We will keep you fed here on Locked On Flames because we are here for you 5 days a week all through the summer. And I couldn't be happier to get to talk to y'all every day. But back to Elias Lindholm. Let's rewind. Let's get in our little time machines, okay? Everybody buckle up, put your little helmets on. This time last year was so stressful. Not just for me, but for everyone in the Sea of Red, right? Talks were ongoing. Gaudreau didn't have an answer. The Flames laid out the red carpet and everything for him. And he decided last minute, I'm going to walk. That cannot happen here. Conroy has talked the talk, and now it is time to walk the walk. What is he going to do to make sure that doesn't happen? And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, he's going to be 28. 8 years is a long time for him. Yes, 8 years I think, is a long time for anybody, to be entirely honest. But at the same time, those kind of deals are inevitable, especially when you need players to play on your team. It's these contracts, like every team has these contracts, and I get it because there's already money tied up in Huberdeau. More so Huberdeau and Kadri than Uyghur. I think Uyghur is obviously like on the younger side there, so it doesn't hurt as much. But 28 is not that old, you guys. Like, we're seeing players play later into their late into their mid to late 30s now. It's not just, okay, 34, they drop off a cliff. Just because I'm saying that doesn't mean I think the Flames need to re-sign Elias Lindholm to an 8x7 deal. No, I'm just saying these things happen, but it doesn't need to happen here. It does not need to happen here. It can be avoided. If the Flames want to avoid it, great. But if they want to avoid it and trade him, they really need to do it in a way that still shows that, they have to treat him well. It can't just be, okay, we're sending you off to Arizona. Peace out. Bye. It has to be, like a mutual sort of discussion. It has to be a two-way conversation, because Craig Conroy cannot afford to go into his first year as a general manager just making all these decisions with no feedback from anyone. No one's going to want to play in Calgary. We thought there was a mass exodus now. Wait until, if something like that happens. I think, there has to be a line drawn. Like, Conroy has to say, I need an answer by the second week of July, if there's an update. Otherwise, he needs to just pull the trigger, I would say. I'm not saying trade him in the middle of the night and have him find out on social media in the morning. That's never a good thing, especially when he's one of your best players and you are a first-time general manager. You do not want that to be your reputation. A lot of this business is self-preservation, and I think general managers can kind of, I look at Don Sweeney. He has made some not so great decisions, but he has also fleeced general managers for the Bruins' benefit. So people just kind of think about, all those good things, but the bad things are kind of just pushed back in their brain a little bit. Craig Conroy needs as many good things as he can get to kind of build himself a solid foundation. Mistakes happen. People sign bad contracts. We know this happens in every organization. It's not just the Flames. It's just a matter of having the right people around you to help you make these important franchise-altering decisions. Elias Lindholm is someone, I don't say he's replaceable. I'm not Abby Lee Miller saying everyone's replaceable, but there are players out there or in your organization now that you can develop and grow yourself to become a top 6 center. There's definitely room for it in the organization. I don't think that the Flames need to rush into this and just be pen to paper. I don't think Lindholm needs to be put in a rush and be pen to paper. Or I want to go, send me anywhere July 1st, here's my list. If he has a modified no movement clause or something like that, it has to happen. A decision needs to be made. The Flames need to play hardball. I get that they want to keep that player-friendly attitude and relationship, but if a player sees that they can walk all over you, people are going to take advantage of that. It's human nature, really. But when do the Flames do this? Because the draft is less than 48 hours away. The start of free agency is a week away. That is when things can start happening. So what are we going to do? Are we going to have an answer July 1st? Are things going to start leaking like June 29th, 30th, ahead of free agency so the Flames can shop him? It's just an idea. The things get leaked to the insiders for a reason. Elias Lindholm could have his decision. His agent just hasn't told, he's probably told Craig Conroy, but it just hasn't gotten out yet. And maybe it's because he is signing an extension. Maybe it's because he is leaving or he wants to try to gain leverage. It's just a matter of time before we have a decision, and the clock is ticking. We got to speed it up a little bit. But at the same time, please don't get mad at me when I say this, because I say this for any athlete and not just any team I cover or a player that I enjoy. Like, athletes are human beings. Would you, with a month's notice, decide to, if you're told, hey, like, you need to decide if you're staying here for the next 8 years or if we can trade you or like move like in a year? Can you make a decision that quickly? Like, if you had like 3 weeks, number one, I mean, obviously it's a lot different for like us everyday people, but there's a lot more than just yourself that goes into those decisions. And I know that last season, Annika, Elias's partner, was posting about wanting to, just how she felt disconnected in Calgary and how she really didn't. Maybe it was because it was the winter and things got, the winter's awful. When you don't have friends and a good group of people that you can count on, and you're away from home and everything you've known your whole life and everything you've loved, it is very easy to just retreat. And this is the woman that Elias Lindholm is planning to spend the rest of his life with, and he needs to respect her decisions and her wishes, which I think is completely fair. And I'm not blaming her by any means, because I get it. I get it. Like, I would up and move. I have felt those exact same feelings, situations, and we know the answer. Okay. I think that we can stop pretending that we don't know the answer. Based on the last year and last year in Calgary and kind of how things have gone down, at least what is being posted on social media, why would you stay somewhere where everyone's leaving if you already don't have like a core support group? You know what I mean? And why would you stay somewhere where people are like, bye, see you later? These are not judgments. These are my opinions. You just got to kind of piece the puzzle together yourself. The writing's on the wall. So we will eventually find out when Elias Lindholm's decision is in, and what's next, because ball's got to get rolling. But coming up next, we are going to wrap up the show with some NHL awards talk, because what a show. And thank you everyone so much for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. As always, I'm Jess Belmosto, and you can follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. The NHL awards. Okay, listen, I am all for growing the game. I am all for doing fun things. But what was that opening? I had secondhand embarrassment like 1,200 miles away. What was that? I don't think that this is like a market thing. I think that this is just the NHL's idea of like quirky branding and trying to make people relatable. This is why y'all have to hire people under 30 years old. You got to start hiring people who are in touch with, today's culture. And things like that, because otherwise you're just going to keep churning out products like that, and it was not good. But Connor McDavid did have a special thank you, a big thank you, and a little shout out to Calgary Flames fans when he accepted his Ted Lindsay Award. He was very thankful for all the NHL fans, including the Calgary fans. And I love Connor McDavid. I know, probably the wrong podcast to say this on, but as a player, I think he is obviously fantastic. And I understand that not everybody is built for like to be like a media personality. Like, not everyone is a Matthew Tkachuk. Not everyone is going to go out there in front of that camera and eat it up, ham it up. Same with like a David Pastrnak. No one is going to do that. Not everyone can do that, I mean. But with Connor McDavid, there were a few moments when he was on the panel, with Elliot Friedman, Liam McHugh, and Paul Bissonnette, where he was kind of like coming out of his shell, and like we're seeing more of it, and it was funny. It was fun. I don't know if we had to like bring up the hot tub thing, because Connor McDavid was like, I texted you about this, like, stop. And we got brought up again, but whatever. Frank Saravelli eating Nashville hot chicken. All of them were eating Nashville hot chicken. And that was something. That was definitely entertaining. Thank you all for supporting this show through the off season, so I don't have to do things like that on camera and tell you what's going down. But I think for me, one of the highlights of the night was Chris Letang winning, or being, this doesn't feel like an award. Like, winning sounds really weird saying this, but for the Masterson Trophy, you know, he went through a lot this season. He had his second stroke, his dad passed, and he broke his foot. But he was still an excellent teammate and someone that commands a lot of respect. And he just is someone that I think a lot of people can kind of relate to, because, you know, some of us do have parents that have passed or have medical conditions that kind of get in the way of things. And, you know, it's nice to see someone persevere through these things. Jim Montgomery won the Jack Adams Award and had a very nice speech as well, talking about a support system. Look at that. We kind of come full circle here, right? About, or with his battle with alcoholism. And he talks about how he changed his behavior and his actions. And with the help of his support team, he was able to get back in the saddle and do some of, you know, his best work. He iced the best NHL team in history in regular season. And of course, Backlund won the King Clancy Trophy for his work in the Calgary community, doing work with the ALS organizations and the Special Olympics, and just they mentioned specific names, but unfortunately I'm blanking on those. And I saw a tweet, I believe it was from Salem, who said one of his favorite stories is that some of Backlund's early days in Calgary, he would take leftover food, like post-game food, not like eaten foods, but, you know, ones that are left over, like, you know what I'm saying? And he would bring them to the shelters in Calgary and around the area. To me, that is someone who deserves the world. That is more than just like the bare minimum. That is someone that is actively making a difference. And, you know, I think about when sometimes players in like big markets, they go to the children's hospital to see players, and some of them are very obviously just kind of there for contractual obligations. And, you know, that's not saying they're not impacted by it, but like they probably wouldn't go out of their way to do it. And I think that Backlund and his wife Frida have done a lot for the Calgary community. And that's as an outsider. I can only imagine what it's like in the city. And, you know, I feel like you can truly feel a difference from from their contributions, really. And it's just so nice to see just all of that. It's so nice to see hard work being rewarded. And he even said, like, professional athletes, we live a privileged life, and, you know, we have the opportunity to do something meaningful and important. And that's something to remember when you're out and about and doing things. Obviously, I don't think any professional athletes are listening to this, but maybe you buy someone a coffee. You leave an extra tip, or you go pick up the trash around a local park. It really is the little things that make a difference. So thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me on today's episode of Locked On Flames. Please remember to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your show or wherever you get your podcasts. And you can watch the show on YouTube at Locked On Flames. I will be back tomorrow to talk more about any developments in this Elias Lindholm, Tyler Toffoli, Backlund saga. We'll see. And maybe the Flames will do something ahead of the draft. I don't know. Is Greg Conroy feeling a little gutsy? And until then, stay safe, stay hydrated, and be well.